So if I hear you correctly, and I think you're making some good points. If I hear you correctly, you're saying at a certain scale, yes, we can, do capitalism in a righteous way, where people are not getting exploited. However, once we try to take it to scale and we are competing against other businesses that are using the exploitive capitalism model where they're just trying to milk every single piece of profit that they can, which means that they can probably offer things lower than we will be able to. And then you have your average consumer that walks into, let's just say, a Walmart, and they see our product and they see their product, and our product is a couple dollars more expensive because of the process that we use. That once we get to like a larger market, that we're gonna run into some issues. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, basically, like either that's gonna be it, or we gonna just decide that we'll be a niche thing, and then we can go with that. Cause like I remember, I'm a big fan of Nipsey Hussle. They was talking about there's a place out in like Pennsylvania got $1,000 cheesesteak. It don't mean that cheesesteak is worth $1,000, but it's the fact of people know that this is the $1,000 cheesesteak spot. So not everybody's buying $1,000 cheesesteaks, but this, and it is being bought because people know that, oh, this is the $1,000 cheesesteak spot. So like the same way with luxury goods, none of it is worth that, but it's a niche product. It's a luxury product. So people pay that because this it builds the cachet in their mind that this is what I need. When it's not, it's nothing anybody really needs in life.
So wait, hold on. The $1,000 cheesesteak, that's a real thing?
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. Chef, what you got to say on this?
I think that one of the issues is, again, talking about the long game wise. Um, a lot of us are short sighted to the point where we are not interested in taking part in something that we won't personally benefit from. It's hard to put yourself in a position to say, I'm going to start something that 3 generations from now they will benefit from, but I won't see that today.
Hmm.
It's hard to put yourself in the mindset of like, because like Courtney said, like in order for us to, like, we may not see it for in our lifetime, like you said, that means that you're asking a lot of people to be willing to take L's for the sake of their grandchildren. And not a lot of people are willing to take L's and be in potential poverty or in a position of loss or in a position of drowning financially or what have you for the greater good of future generations. Um, and it's also it's something that's we don't have the benefit, a lot of us anyway don't have the benefit of generational wealth that other people do, to where they can say, okay, well, I'm cool with taking a loss because I've got a loan from, or I've got an inheritance from my great grandfather or whatever, that's X number of millions or whatever, so it's okay for me to wait for to cash in or invest this amount and have it be something that I know I'm never going to see again for the sake of the future. Most of us are pitching pennies, and so to say that I have 5 pennies and I'm about to give up 3 for the sake of future generations, and now I only got 2. It's a hard pill to swallow for people, and so in order to be able to get in that mindset, it's going to take a huge paradigm shift from a lot of people in order to be like, I'm okay with taking one for the team, so to speak, in order for us to actually pull each other out of this deep dark hole that we're all in order to get us somewhere that sets us towards a place of benefit and not deficit, so to speak.
Short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. That's one of the keys.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit. I'm gonna ask. This is my next to last question, because having y'all brothers together, I definitely got to talk a little bit of hip hop at the end. But the last economics question: is there such thing? And shout out to Cammy. Is there such thing as being a billionaire that did not exploit people. Can you be a billionaire without exploiting people? Is the question I have.
No, it's simple. No, you cannot, bro. Like I just seen an article the other day. It was like, what was it? All the billion, most it was like I can't remember the exact stat, but it was like 85% of the billionaires under 30, because there's the self-made myth, right? People like I'm a billionaire, I'm self-made, blah blah blah. It was like 85% of the billionaires under 30 inherited something, blah blah. Like it was never self-made to $1 billion is not really a thing. Like I understand we see people that's like worth $1 billion, but generally their wealth is attached to somebody else. And once you're attached to somebody else, now we can look over there. It's like, oh yeah, they dirty and they've been dirty and they don't care. But now your wealth is attached to their wealth. So are you clean? Because I mean, we all love Jay Z, but Jay Z's biggest marketable thing is the fact that he can herd the black dollar. Like he can be like, yo, this is it, and send niggas over there, and hey, somebody gonna capitalize off that, and then Jay Z gonna get paid.
So question. So wait. So a follow up question. So Jay Z, I'm pretty sure Jay Z is a billionaire. So you're saying so who is Jay Z exploit? Who did Jay Z exploit to get his billionaire status?
I
Boy,
mean, right,
uh,
go ahead,
I
right,
don't go
right
ahead, bro,
now,
because that's
go
a
right,
real.
right now. That's, I mean, hey, okay, so I seen it. I seen the breakdown of his stock portfolio. So a lot of his money is with the LVRM dude who owns Gucci, Prada, blah blah blah, all of that. So again, who you attached to. But a lot of his money is attached in that stock, and that person is abusing the people that is giving the raw materials for those brands. So again, I
Understandable.
ain't saying, I'm not saying Jay Z's like, yo, I'm gonna go kill this cow for this bread, but his man is.
Understandable. Doc,
Yeah.
Chef, any thoughts?
I
I
mean,
that Jay-Z thing, 100%. But see, you're asking a question and with regards to the current system that exists, right? I keep going back to yes, you can be a billionaire if you redefine and recreate what capitalism looks like currently. But if you work, because even if I right now became a billionaire, I'm attached to some kind of exploitative way because the money that's given to me, honestly, some way, somehow, you dig far enough, there has been some exploitation, right? So now that I'm here and I know what it took for me to get here, it's incumbent on me to make sure that as I've amassed that much wealth to start to change that system. So I'm alive now. I'm a billionaire now in the current capitalistic system. So yes, there was some kind of exploitative nature, some kind of exploitative way to make me stand on this $1 billion. However, if I was to have a son and work to recreate what capitalism is, and he became self-made not for my money, and he did it on his own thing, literally we there'll be another question to ask. Like I think it could be done then, but now I could never because I become a doctor in a system that exploited people that look like us. That's the reality of the situation. I was educated in a racist system. If you're educated today, you're educated in a system that wasn't built for us. They was hoping they had a Negro out here to be one of those exceptional Negroes to be like the 1%. Like, look, we have one person, and I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So I still profited from a racist system, but now that I know, I can't know and not do better. And so back to the thing, Keem is half right. We can't do that. You can't be a billionaire now, but the caveat is, but what next? Can it ever happen? So yes and no. So the question is nuanced. Yeah.
I like that. Chef, what you got?
yeah, I feel like there's a large gray area. I feel like blue sky, it's possible at some point in the future, but the likelihood of that actually being a reality, I feel like is less because I feel like the way that society is moving right now, we're moving more towards exploitation rather than backwards in a lot of facets. So I feel like we would first have to get to the worst part where we're however bad exploitation is going to be with the addition of artificial intelligence and the fact that information and people's images and people's uh, intellectual property can be co-opted and utilized without their permission or without, I feel like the lane that we're moving into is going into more ways to be able to exploit people than the opposite. So I feel like it's going to become harder and harder rather than easier and easier for somebody to become a billionaire without having a
100%.
long line of exploitation under their belt.
Great.
And I feel like what more so to be more realistic is people being like, I haven't been able to become a billionaire without exploiting people, but I will take X amount of the fortune that I do have to try to atone in some way for the exploitation that I exploited and the exploitation that I utilized in order to elevate me to this point. So a lot of people might try to do things to rectify their sins, so to speak, rather than just flat out becoming a billionaire without the uh, the exploitation even being involved. I don't think that that's necessarily realistic on the grand scheme because it's literally woven into the fabric of this country. It's damn near impossible.
Yeah, agreed.
So wait, I have a follow-up question then. So I'm of the belief, yes, you can be a billionaire and not have exploited people. Do I have an example of that off the top of my head? And I think that's where I want to get into a little bit more of a nuanced question, which is kind of like going back to what I was saying before. At what point does something at what point is something a mutually beneficial business relationship? Does it cross the line into becoming exploitive? So, like for example, I don't know. Okay, so Amazon is a multi-billion-dollar business, right? If you ask them the typical person, they would say that Amazon workers are not compensated fairly. So my question is, and so you can extrapolate that into any number of businesses around the world, even picking vegetables if we go back to that. But at what point can something go either way in terms of crossover from we are in a mutually beneficial business relationship versus you're making you're maximizing on the profit that you're making and I'm being exploited for my labor. Like where's that line?
You, um,
Go ahead.
you would only find that line through dialogue and honest conversations with the individuals that are under your employ. Because if I'm owner of a business, that's my business. I employ you. I take more of the liability. I have other individuals to pay. Obviously, I get paid more. Now, it starts to get exploitative in my estimation if the individuals that work for me can't get health insurance or they feel as though they can't get enough time off to affect change for their mental health or they're always worried about losing their job um, just because of a lack of like they need babysitters. So all of the things that I don't think about as a rich person, I have to think about what makes my life easier. Health insurance, ability to pay for transportation. Like you got to go into the weeds with every person that you're working with almost on an individual basis. So it's like most individuals who are making money are just thinking about the top. Let me make sure I take care of the shareholders. Let me take sure I pick up my CEO, my CFO, all the individuals up here, and we'll pay everybody else to keep our dream alive. Bare so we give you enough to live, but not really. Let's pay individuals with the least amount of education so they can't really go nowhere, but they know if they left, the economy is of such that they really like it's a game that individuals who are at the top play with people's lives that is what make it exploitative. And so you could be paying someone $1 an hour, right? Crazy. And I would never do that. However, if all of their bills were paid, all of their lifestyle situation was good, and they could make it, that dollar was good enough so they can eat, sleep, take care of their family, this and that, they would love the job. Because as an employer, I'm taking care of their needs to work for me. And so like that, so it's less about how much would it take to not be exploitative, and are you taking care of individuals that you're signing checks for in a way that makes sense for them to be excited to work for you. So
And
it's
you're
again,
saying that's on a case by case basis. Because like
yeah.
what makes me feel comfortable in terms of living my life might be different than the next person and what makes them feel comfortable.
And I'm not saying comfortable like, yeah, I can get my if I fresh out of high school and I'm working at Corey Company, I can get a Benz. That's gonna make me feel comfortable. No, I'm talking about you have things that you need to survive and live, and then you work your way up on, and there's a pathway for elevation in the company that is paying you so that you can start to see, because when you have those menial jobs, a lot of times there's no way for the most part to get to a point where you are a millionaire. I don't know. I don't think Jeff Bezos has a pathway for the person who's doing that to get up to become a millionaire status. Because most of the time, individuals who are in the front office didn't work as a janitor or a person in the thing most of the time. Like I don't know, but they come from an Ivy League school. They had a budget degree, they had a accounting degree, and now they're CFO. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's really nuanced with exploitative nature because it's so subjective too. Because I can feel like I'm getting fucking like exploited, and an immigrant can come here who had to walk from South America up here. They finally got a job at the company that we both work at. We had the same level, and he in heaven, he or she's in heaven. You know what I'm saying? So it's subjective. It's difficult. That's why it's a difficult question. It's not like, yeah, you could do it like this. Nah, we got to sit down and talk for hours on every aspect of my company to make sure we're addressing it from the person and you drive into the parking deck, you rip your ticket, all the way up to me as the owner of the company. And that could take weeks, months, even like a year before we open the door. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Feel that.
I,
Team Chef, any
I,
thoughts?
I think the ideologically the exploitation jumps in when the employees just never thought as a human being, like you're just a number. Cause like think about something like being a server in America. All right, so you can make 213, you gotta get your tips. But you go around the rest of the world, everybody ain't looking for a tip. They're actually getting a wage. It's like, hey, you're a server, so you're gonna get this amount, no matter whether people come in here or not. Versus, hey, if nobody come in here, you making 213, and I gotta cut you. So you made $6 a day, and this is the job you got to pay your kids. It's just to me, it's really about the humanity in business, and in America, that's like an oxymoron. It's not really a thing. Cause like the Jeff Bezos thing is like, okay, you got all these drivers, cool, but then you get all the stories of like driver can't pull over because he got all these packages to go. He being tracked. So now the driver's peeing in a Gatorade bottle because he can't stop to slow down and take care of his bodily functions. So like once they start throwing the humanity of the person out the window in business, that's it. To me, it's not. It's just over. It's you being exploited, even though you're making money.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like there's so many minute details where the smallest, more often than not, when you think about the tiniest of details of anything that gets manufactured or harvested or whatever, you're talking about exploitation on the bottom base level. So even if you have, let's say, for example, now I'm not speaking in facts here because I'm not sure. I tried to look it up just now, but I'm not concrete on the bottom, like the extent of it. But for the sake of argument or for discussion, so I don't know if any of y'all have heard of Bombas socks.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
heard
yeah.
about it.
So Bombas, they take pride in being an ethical
Yeah.
uh, company, right? And so it's like, you buy our socks, and for every one you buy, we donate to the homeless or whatever the case is. And then they say that the socks are made in their headquarters are in the U.S. But then when you ask where they get their materials from, it says that their materials are sourced from factories around the world, and that's the extent of what I could find. So if you were to dig deeper into where the actual manufacturing companies are, the factories that actually manufacture the materials to make the socks, at the very base level, the people that are harvesting the cotton or making the polyester, like, I can almost guarantee you that those people are not living ethically. So then what it is you have the base level being exploited, and then maybe the next level up being less exploited. So then by the time you get the stuff actually makes to the US headquarters, the people that are working at the US headquarters may be ethically maybe taken care of ethically by the company. So then the people who say, yeah, I work for Bombas, like they can look back and say, oh yeah, no, I've got a 401k, I've got health benefits or whatever. But then when you go back to the person that may not even know that what they're doing is for Bombas or what Bomba Socks is, they just know that they wake up at 3 a.m. to go pluck the cotton or
Yeah.
start sewing or whatever. Like, they're making pennies, they're making $1 at the end of the day at the end of it. And again, I'm not speaking factually, I'm not condemning Bombas. I don't know anything further than that, but I'm just saying for the sake of examples.
Yeah.
Um, so then, when you look at every major company, when you look at companies that make electric vehicles for the sake of under the guise of cleaning up the environment, and I drive the EV, but then also you look further into it, and it's like how they get the lithium by exploiting uh, in Africa, like a lot of the resources, most of the lithium in the world is mined in Africa. And then you get to the point of like where the factories that make the chips for most of the electronic things that we have today, from computers to cars to uh, to other manufacturing equipment, all come from a majority of them come from Taiwan. So then when you look at the Taiwanese company that does that, on the base level, the people that are actually forming the materials to make the chips, how ethically are they being treated? How ethically are they being paid? We don't know. So at the very base level, even though up here we're saying like this is what we're doing and we're changing the world for the better, but all the way down here there's still people getting treated like shit and being exploited. So it's like, I don't know if it's possible for you to become a billionaire and have every line all the way trickle down, all the way down to everything that you're doing and every material that comes across be free of exploitation.
You you're right, but it is possible if you say you're going to do it. I'm not saying it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying it, and it possibly for a quick turnaround doesn't make sense under like an economic paradigm, right? So if you're trying to make money, it probably doesn't make sense how I'm proposing us to make sure that everything is ethical. Because then we got to go overseas. We got to go to a factory that's creating. If we had a t-shirt company, we have to go to the factory, talk to the people who are going to be have to wake up to do the cotton for the shirts and or the socks or the hoodies. And then we have to make sure their family can eat. We have to make sure we give them a good wage. Like, it would take such a concerted effort that we may not want to go into business that way. You would almost have to be crazy to do that. But I'm saying but also on the other end, if individuals now got wind that 4 Black men took the time to create a company that addressed everything that was wrong with capitalism as it exists, bro, we will come now. It will switch, and we'll start to make money hands over fist because people love stories.
Back to the story. I hear you.
I know that. I know that for a fact.
However, for the sake of devil's advocate, so to speak,
Yeah.
we don't have a history of backing up the people with stories. We have a history of saying, "Oh, that story's dope," but then when it comes down to putting your money where your mouth is, literally, we go for what's fast. Which is why, for example, the dude from the hood who's starting the business doesn't get the same props as the drug dealer does. Because if you tell a kid in the hood, like, look, you can make an honest living a lot, and I'm not saying all, because there's plenty of people, yourself included, that can see that there's a better way and that there's a better way on a long game. But a lot of people, when they're struggling and they see the dudes who's selling dope or making a business by exploiting his neighbor, and they see them online, they see them with the Benzes, they see them online flashing money, folding money, and it's all hundreds or whatever, and they're like, I don't want to have to struggle my whole life for
Like
something that I may not see, when I know that I can go this route, and even if I don't make them, I can make more money than that.
yeah. Well, now
It
you,
takes an it takes an extraordinary mindset to be willing to put yourself through that for the sake of, and that goes back to what I say about, take a lot of different people with different mindsets, programming density, for a lot of us, in order for us to get to that point. And we have to have a lot of martyrs, a lot of people that are willing to fall on the sword of being of drowning financially for the sake of the betterment of the future. And that's a hard
yeah,
ask for people.
of course. But see, that's so white supremacy and colonization doing exactly what it was supposed to do. It's doing its job. This is why we give praise to individuals who are in jail versus people who are educated that look like us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it. So we have to take a diligent effort to make education sexy, to make it cool to be educated, and now I started having conversations about economics instead of who going to the club this weekend. We can have a conversation about because what we said about all of those communities that invest in their community, they hold one thing as an immigrant person. I know for sure they hold education as like God. They don't play about that. You know what I'm saying? Like the only reason that I even survived doing what I did because I always had in my back of my mind how I was raised to know that, bro, you know you're doing dumb shit. Educated. So I'm in the hood in my car reading a book while I'm still doing ignorant shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like in our community, it's not cool to know certain things, but it's cool to be ignorant and perpetuate ignorant and make ignorance sexy and cool because of the lack of power that we have. So if you take power from me, cool. I'm gonna make powerless look amazing. I'm gonna make it so cool to be ignorant. And that is what's happening right now. So when you got somebody like us who are educated, who are smart, I go back to my community. Bro, if you're just stupid ass on, nobody care about reading no book. Bro, you ain't us no more. You read now. You caring about this. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. I'm not like you because I read now.
So I think that another thing on the upside is, or on a way out looking, is going back to what Akeem was saying beforehand about community. I think that if we can cultivate enough of the educated into a concentrated space to where, because a lot of times in a lot of areas, the educated are separate from the ignorant, and the educated that stay amongst the ignorant are outnumbered by the ignorant, to where the herd mentality is able to say, man, get that dumb, like, I'm not trying to read this, or I'm not trying to figure that, I don't want to know that. And but if we can flip that to where those who may be ignorant are surrounded by people that are educated, that can see the benefits of education,
Hmm.
then we might be able to change that narrative enough to
Yeah.
where we can start celebrating education and cultivate it amongst our communities. But right now, the educated are sparsely among everybody else,
Yeah.
or a lot of people get education and money and they travel outward outside of the community. Um, and so yeah, I feel like if we can cultivate the educated amongst us and then use that fellowship to create community based on education
We won.
in a way that's appealing to the generations coming up, then that would be easier for us to climb out of that hole a little bit.
100%.
No, I agree with that. It's just only caveat is like the issue with the talented tenth was the way the masses of black people live never changed. So like we still live in a squalor,
Right.
and then okay, now you done got it, you don't want to come back to the squalor. So now you
Mhm.
ran off with capitalism. And like for people that's living in the dire straits, it's like again, it goes back to what you know, what you see. Cause like, okay, you can have a doctor. So like, again, segregation. We had the doctors and black folks in there, and maybe the doctors didn't want to be there, but they had to be there so you could see that. But
Mhm.
that's no longer the reality, and that be the issue. The issue is people continually being products of their environment, and we're not collectively coming together to change our own environments. Like, cause it not, I don't think it's not a national thing. I think everybody has to do it where they at. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so like Atlanta's gonna hold down Atlanta and things like that. It can't be like Atlanta for the United States. That's not real. Because again, we're not all the same people. We're not looking at everything the same. We don't know each other's issues because we're not in community that way.
Yeah.
So like it definitely can happen, but we really truly have to be able to attack our environment. And I mean, I'm not really big on voting and all that, but I don't know. I be hearing reparation conversations and people say it's ridiculous. Cool, it might be, but we try to stand on everything else. It's like, bro, if we're gonna be stuck in capitalism and we're not gonna want to acquire the money to change our immediate surroundings, then I mean, what are we staying around for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gentlemen, I appreciate this conversation. I think we touched on a lot of things. We could have talked about any number of those aspects for another hour or so, but I appreciate everybody's viewpoint. Definitely gave me something to think about. Um, and yeah, I think that this can be an ongoing conversation. Last thing, why I got y'all here, real quick. I need everybody's top 5 MCs of all time. And why you thinking? Why you thinking? We not gonna argue. This is not the lunch table. We not gonna argue. We not gonna argue. All we gonna do, all I want you to say is, what is your criteria that you are basing who your favorite MCs are on? What is your criteria? And then give me your top 5 MCs, and then we gonna pick that back up another time. Anybody feeling froggish want to go first?
Um,
Mm. All right, I'll go first. I'm basing mine on lyrics, flow, and for lack of a better word, consciousness. It's not saying like you gotta be super lyrical, super conscious, but like eventually you gotta say something. So like, people might say like Schoolboy Q, like he rap about gang banging, but half the time he talking about his family. So that's what I'm talking about, like something conscious. So my top five would go Andre 3000, um, Nas, Most Def, Tupac, and Biggie.
And that's in order?
Yeah,
Or
it's in
that
order right now. Yeah, it's in order right now.
okay, okay. Doc, what you got?
Come on, bro. You know I gotta go with no, you know what? I ain't gonna do the most. Like I'm gonna keep my five. And I can't say it's in order, but it is sort of Biggs, Pop, Andre 3000, Nas, and my last one is Kendrick, but Jay's right there too. J. Cole right there too. Right? So that's my five. 5.5. 5 point, yeah. Yeah.
Got
You
you.
gotta tell us why
Got you.
though.
Huh?
You gotta tell us like what was your
Um,
criteria?
lyrics, um, the creative, the creative way that they can make you feel the music. They make you feel like everybody can rap. Like Andre is like, yeah, this is just what I do. Biggie is just what I do, bro. I rap. You know what I mean? So like Nas, like all of my criteria is like lyricism and ability to to tell stories as well too. Like in a way where you can resonate, you can feel it, and you can understand. Kendrick, full surprise, speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's mine.
All right, Chef. Chef, I'm gonna let you go last since you're the
Uh,
actual.
he's the expert in the room.
Yeah, he's the only actual MC in this crew right here who does it for real. So I'm gonna let you go last. So I'm gonna say my criteria is definitely content. Like, what are you rapping about? Um, the lyrics, so like the quality of the ability to express things in a creative way and in an intelligent way, and flow. I need you to be able to ride that beat, pause. And like really like not, like you and the beat need to be almost like one almost. So my top five, I got Lupe, I got Black Thought. I got Jay and Nas, but Jay and Nas are 3 and 4, and they go back and forth. I think after 444, I had Jay at number 3, and then after this last run with King's Disease and Magic, I think that might have bumped Nas up to number 3, and then Jay to 4. But Jay and Nas are 3 and 4, and then my five kind of fluctuates also. Um, my five kind of fluctuates also, but I'm gonna say right now it's probably Kendrick. Right now it's probably Kendrick because every word, every bar is just thorough. So that'd be
So
my
you
top
gonna
five.
leave Andre out there. You gonna leave Biggs out there. The fuck them up. You crazy. Okay, I'm sorry.
We
You
not we
are.
not gonna do this right now.
My
We
fault.
not
My
gonna.
fault.
That's
I
a whole.
got
That's a that's a whole other episode. I ain't say nothing when you said Andre. I ain't say
true,
nothing. I let
true.
it. I let
My
it
bad.
go.
My bad. My bad, player. My bad.
All right, Chef, bring us home.
I was wondering which one was going to come out of pocket first when people started listing. I knew somebody was going to have an outburst. But unpopular opinion here, and I've said this to y'all before, so it's not like I'm trying to think outside the box on purpose or whatever. But I feel like the whole top 5, top 10, top 20 conversation is antiquated, and I believe of like having just more of a tier system in MCs. Like I feel like there's a low tier, a low bar. There's like a mid tier for MCs that are good, but maybe not exceptional. And then there's like an elite tier where there's a lot of dope MCs out there. And I feel like by everybody always doing the top 5, top 10, you're leaving a lot of people out of the conversation. And what we do by leaving those a lot of people out of the conversation, where everybody's talking about the same few people, but then nobody's talking about all of these people here, and then they go straight to the gutter of all these people that we hate, that we can't stand, that are horrible. And so people are spending all this energy talking about people that are garbage, or they end up. But the thing is that everything is so subjective that everybody or a lot of people have the same 5 to 10 to 20 rappers involved in this conversation, and then it becomes a huge debate over like Doc. You don't have this person, you don't have that person, and for me, I'm constantly finding new artists that I think are dope, and I feel like a lot of, especially 90s hip hop heads, we kind of put the pause button after like 2004. And a lot of people feel like when you listen to them, they list 90s MCs and then fast forward 10, 15 years and then add Kendrick and Cole,
Yeah.
and not thinking about all the people that came in between underground MCs. There's a lot of elite tier underground MCs that never get part of the discussion. And so I don't feel like, and I listen to them regularly. And oftentimes, as my rotation goes around and as I'm scouting for new artists constantly, like Doc, I'm sending you stuff all the time. Like,
Yeah.
yo, listen to this. This is hard. Listen to this wordplay on this one and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like, with the amount of new talent that's going under the radar all the time, people never are going to get their shine because people are still talking about the same 20 or 30 rappers from 20 years ago that are still relevant. I'm not saying that they're not relevant, and I'm not saying that they don't deserve their elite status or their god tier status, but there's also a lot of talented MCs coming up under the radar that deserve to be spoken about. So I'm one of the ones that I let other people say their top 20s and their top fives and all that, and I just don't participate in that part of the conversation because I don't agree with it. Because I feel like there's way more people that deserve to be part of the conversation.
So in other words, top 5 MCs of all time is 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, and 2-2.
Good shit. Good shit.
I'm
All
saying
right,
though,
man. Listen,
what about top five? What about top five underappreciated? Since you know what I'm saying, you said you don't want to do the top, you don't want to do the bottom. Who is the top five most slept on in your mind?
There's so many. I don't even know if I could just
Well,
list
just
five.
five.
I won't say
Just
top
five.
five, but I'll say five. I'll say Elzai.
ooh, that's a good one.
That was our top.
Okay.
That's hard. Yes.
No, hold up, Doc. You remember I was telling you about the brother that remade the Nas album,
He's hard, but it's hard for me to listen to that because all I hear is Nas, bro.
he did a good job though.
He
And
did a good job.
and Illmatic is not an easy album to say I'm gonna remake Illmatic. Like you gotta have like you know what I'm saying? You gotta have the nuts to do that. He did it though. He did it though.
Did that.
I'll say Odyssey is another one.
Mm.
I'll say non oh yeah, female wise, Rhapsody, Sa Rock, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say for non-black artists, we got Apathy and Brother Ali that both are incredible spitters, in my opinion. So I mean, those are just a handful, but I'm constantly like I'm one of those people that I will actively spend hours scouring for new artists that I haven't heard of, and I have a whole playlist of new to me artists that I'll check out, and I use that playlist as a place or a place setting so that I can go back, listen to these people's albums, and then go to the recommended artists based on that artist, and then see if any of them I think are dope, and then go through that whole process again. So I'm constantly finding new people. So I have playlist upon playlist of people that most people don't listen to or haven't heard of, but they're incredibly dope.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather spend my time bigging up those people through conversations like this than the same 20 or 30 artists that are always getting mentions and debated upon. That's just my philosophy personally.
No, that makes sense.
I got you. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate y'all brothers taking the time, man. Always a pleasure engaging in conversation, meaningful conversation with y'all. And I think yeah, I think we should, figure out a part 2 where we just go in on the hip hop, because I know Doc, I know you got some things to say, and I definitely got some things to say about y'all stay having Andre in your top 5. But I'm not gonna go get into it right now. I'm not gonna get into it right now. Any last words from the crew before we head out?
Man, I feel disrespectful to bro, hold on, bro. Before you get
no, no. Save it. We'll get to it.
Man, honestly, Corey, man, thank you so much for this opportunity, bro. It was dope, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all.
Yes,
Yeah, happy to be here, man. Community first.
Yeah, for sure.
All day. All right, I'll get with y'all on the back end. Pause. Peace.
Peace. No Diddy.
No Diddy.